this is the second installment of the Continuous Transformation Action series. So this is a series of 3 different presentations that are about 30 minutes long, where the app builders, the people that are on the ground floor, building the things, are going to talk about what they've built and how they built it to inspire all of you, and also be here to answer questions and give ideas. So with that, I will start with this first one, which is called Automate to Accelerate Building Smarter Systems for Scalable Impact. So in this session, you'll hear from Stanley Black Decker, Stanley Black Decker's Holliston site partnered with Tulip and SAP Automate to improve quality reporting, improve shop floor visibility, and build a scalable digital ecosystem that reduces manual effort and accelerates transformation. So the 2 presenters today are from Stanley Black Decker, Kreiley, who is continuous improvement engineer at the Holliston site, and Eduardo Celaya, who is senior manager of digital transformation, he's part of SPD's COE. So I'll hand it off to them.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So Kreiley here, Continuous Improvement Engineer for SBD, working out of Holliston. We're pretty local, just about half an hour up the road. So as a Continuous Improvement Engineer, lately my focus has been around digitizing our operations with the help of Tulip. Really have the goal of mostly just making people's lives easier, making their work quicker. It seems like as a result of that, it improves the business metrics and leads to overall success. So today I'll be sharing with you a project that's accomplishing just that. I'll turn it over to Eduardo.
All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Eduardo Celaya. As mentioned, I'm working for Stanley Black Decker, and I'm part of the COE. So working and help SAC on making this. There is a lot of names on behind scenes. I'm looking to have Lee over there. So was one of the engineers that helped us on making this successful project. So starting with our company, so for those that was able to join us during the keynote, it's just basically telling a little bit about our company. So Stanley Black Decker being a leader on tools and outdoor. So I'm not going to be spending so much time on explaining this, but just taking some headline, some key points, founded on 1843 with more than 100 manufacturing and distribution centers. So you could imagine what the challenges are behind scenes on doing all the governance and so on. So you might know us by our brands. So there is a couple of brands that are on the bottom of this slide. So starting from there, I'm going to start with the behind scenes, what happens on this project. So there is something like, once you have these many brands together, once you have these many companies together composing Stanley Black Decker, is where the challenge comes, because all of them contains their own legacy, contains their own story behind scenes, contains all the things and even mindsets and cultural things that every company might have, right? So even in the same company, we might have different configurations, different MES system, different ERP systems. So in this case, what we're going to be talking about is about Holliston, one of the manufacturing sites we have, where SAP is their ERP system, where this SAP, it's having a different configuration from the rest of the sites. So that's what makes this project a little bit challenging on that perspective. So that's where our team come on here. So this is our OXT governance team, where the challenge becomes on how we can not stop all the things, all the amazing things that the Holliston team is doing, and all the amazing things that the rest of the Stanley Black Decker companies are doing. We shouldn't stop that brilliant things that they are doing, but at the same time, we need to make sure that all of them are making in the correct way, in alliance with compliance, with IT, OT policies, and so on. So that's where our team is in here to present a little bit on the things that we work with them, and making sure as well, like I have been here a couple of times during these 2 days that we have been here, how governance can be helping us and how you interact with your sites. Are you allowing them to develop and so on? So these kind of questions I have been hearing, and probably this is going to be the time where you're going to be seeing what happens in this project. So talking in the perspective of operational excellence technology, we have a couple of things that our team is working with. Like we have requests from citizen developers. We have some persons located in each of the sites. In this case, like Zach. Zach was one of the citizen developers in the site that he took the innovation to the next level in his site. So once he reached out to us and probably he started a project, there are two ways that we can engage with them. So either with one of the 20 plus standard apps that we have, we try in that angle. Like if you're trying to reinvent the wheel, we can just tell you, oh, we have already a standard app that you can use for us, right? And you can just take it for free from us, and it's not going to be any charge. And it's actually all the documentation, all the lessons learned are already in there. And it's a constant feedback that we're getting from all those standard apps, and that we're improving day with day. If this is not the case, then there is a custom app development when it's going to be taking, like in this case, Zach creating something that was suiting for his needs in that moment. So there are a lot of like standard available connectors that we help them on getting information from SAP, Agora, email, any connectors and so on. So that's basically what Zach is going to be presenting in here. So I'm going to pass it to him and talk a little bit more.
Great. Thank you. So accelerate to automate, let's talk about the innovation that we've done at Holliston. Building smarter systems for scalable impact. We're going to be talking about a project that the smarter system is a production scheduling system to get production schedules to the operators on the floor that are accurate, and it's going to be quick. We're going to touch base on the problem at hand, why we needed a project for this, why we needed an integrated solution. It's an SAP Tulip integration project. We'll talk about the solution, kind of the details behind it. We're using SQL, we're using Tulip automations to achieve a great result. Some of the results and impact, not just on the business in terms of money savings or metrics, but what it means for people and culture and moving forward years to come. Some takeaways. At an enterprise level, what needs to happen to foster this type of success within citizen development, and some advice for others starting out. Challenges. Before Tulip, everything was paper-based. Paper-based production schedules on the floor. We are a custom-made to order business. We don't make cabinets and they just sit on a warehouse shelf. They go directly to the customer, all made to order. So what's in our production schedules changes every single day. I'm just explaining this because production schedules lay the whole backbone of our whole ecosystem within the factory and all of our Tulip applications. They're very important. We were tracking what was completed on paper, supervisors going around collecting information with a calculator, putting it on a notepad, and all we ended up with at the end of the day was, what did we have to make and what did we make? We had no real-time visibility into the problems within the factory. With Tulip, but before an integration, we got these schedules to be in a digital format, and we placed them inside of applications. With these applications, we can make tier dashboards. We can make schedule compliance tools. As I said, our schedule is the whole backbone of our factory. When you have a schedule compliance tool, and what that really is, it's a breakdown of a day-by-day schedule, what's scheduled, what's completed with a percentage completion. When you have this for all the departments, you're ensuring that everywhere is receiving product on time, leading to no late orders for your customer. It's basically a WIP tracking method. But this was unsustainable. It was 15 to 20 hours a week spent editing schedules, restructuring them, multiple SAP transactions to make just a single schedule for a department. Every machine is a different schedule. And you had to create every one of them, wait for the reports to load, save them to your computer as CSV, title them, upload them to Tulip. It was a pain. We had to do something about it. Realizing the problem. Because we were editing schedules and it was taking so much time to create them, we could only use 5 at the time. 5 schedules was taking 20 hours to make per week. 5 schedules for the week, 20 hours. If we just wanted to double that and get more machines in the picture, we already would have been at 40 hours a week for 10 schedules. We had to place those 5 very strategically, maybe at the end of a line or the beginning of the line, track what's moving in or out. But we were missing all that in between. We couldn't track cycle times at every machine in a process, only at the end. We placed them well, and we got a lot of information out of them. But still, we want to go upwards to 20, and we just couldn't. So we call it the value effort risk dilemma. 20 hours to create a schedule, 5 schedules, very high effort, and extremely high risk. We're making these edits based on tribal knowledge in the business. They were not, at that time, rule-based, just based on experience. In some cases, we were compiling schedules from different sources to create a brand new one. It was just leading to a lot of errors, costly mistakes. But the value was there. The value outweighed the risks, but it couldn't stay like this for forever. Some example of the value. Eliminating the manual part tracking, just the time it takes to go and collect production numbers, 64 hours a year. First piece inspections. We can build inspections directly into the production tracking applications. There's no binders, there's no paper, there's no sharpening of pencils, there's no quality techs going around collecting papers, 240 hours a year. Just the delivery of a paper schedule and the communications that have to happen within that time, 96 hours. If this was all one person's responsibility, that would have been 50 full workdays reclaimed. So here I'm just showing you that schedules, having this information and KPIs and everything that it leads to is what we're trying to get. One more example that I can't leave off with is before we had dashboards and before we were tracking this in Tulip, we had an OTIF in 2023, an on-time delivery in full of 28%. We put it into Tulip, we put dashboards in there. In 2024, we were at 74%, 2025 at 93%. 93% isn't something that is world-class, but when you go from 28 to 93 within 2 years, it tells a story. So diagnosing. We cannot expand Tulip. We cannot keep getting value out of the platform if we cannot use digital schedules. Opportunities for improvement would be hidden. 26 steps for a single schedule, a daily task, and that was one of our simple ones. 20 hours for 5 schedules. Why are we editing in the first place? In SAP, we had a print button and a live report button. A print button gives you a printable version, and we always use that, and it was known to be accurate. When we went to a digital platform like Tulip, this live report button is what we had to use. That produces an Excel output. We were missing quantities, dates of a schedule, the formatting and order of parts that people are used to seeing was not there. In some cases, a whole department's schedule was missing in that Excel format. They were being made by scratch. So this isn't really anyone's fault. This is just kind of that classic case of a disconnection between an ERP system and a new use case on the floor. There was no roadmap to go from paper to digital, and that's what we were building out. So the countermeasure sounds simple. Fix SAP schedules, make them correct. Then we want to automate the uploading and the export from SAP. That's going to reduce the errors, reduce the time required. We can keep using Tulip and keep getting the value out of it like I showed before. Automate the uploading. I want to touch base on that. Even if we had schedules that we could trust and they were correct, someone would still be responsible to log into SAP, go into every single transaction, save it to your computer, save it as a CSV, upload to Tulip. When we want to go to 20 different schedules and have potentially 20 different tables, that's a whole job in itself that we would have to hire for. So automate the whole process from start to finish. We needed brand new SAP transactions. This is one side. So it's kind of a two-part solution on the SAP side and Tulip automation side of things. For here, we found out that the edits we made could be rule-based. Through months of job shadowing and requirement gathering, we found that we could replicate the same edits we made within code in SAP. Now, we use a system called AutoSys to run these transactions in the background. No one has to log in. No one has to run themselves. They will run at 7 p.m. every night, and they will dump a load of production schedules into a Microsoft SQL Server. So if you have Microsoft, most companies do, you can have access to a Microsoft SQL Server. This is a type of a solution that is not super complex, and once you have set up the server and some of the background requirement gathering, the building in Tulip, I think, was around like 20 to 30 hours. So it's not something that's going to take years to do. We had to make sure that the files were going to be compatible with Tulip, so not only in text files, but also column types and character types. If we're using a number character or an integer character, date time character in Tulip, we wanted to emulate that same thing within a SQL database. Not that Tulip can't do it, but we just wanted to keep the burden off of Tulip, keep everything very streamlined. Whoever jumps into this system years down the road would have no surprises. This is different than a typical integration, right? We're not relying on any third-party systems. We didn't buy any software and have any subscription services. We are using tools that are at our disposal. Any debugging can be managed in-house. We have a great partnership with Tulip. We have experts in SAP in-house. Anything that goes wrong, we can send an email off. I can walk upstairs to the SAP experts and ask them some questions, and we have answers right away. This is multi-site accessible. The server that we set up is accessible to our sister site, Vidmar in Allentown, Pennsylvania. They make the same product as us, cabinets, and they're on the same SAP system as we are. Tulip automations are what tie it all together. This would pretty much be useless to do without the automations. Like I said, streamline the whole thing. If we want to go to 20 schedules, it's kind of useless if we still have to have someone run every single report. These are so simple yet powerful. For most of our schedules, it's one or two automations with 5 automation blocks. I won't really get into exactly what the automation blocks do, each one at least. But if you took the app courses like beginner, moderate, advanced, and you can get through those in just a few weeks, you can understand what's going on. Like I said, we want to keep it simple. Who jumps in here in a few years, they will know how the whole architecture works and they can make improvements upon it. Essentially, an automation in this case is going to look at the information, look at the production schedules we have in SQL, look at the production schedule dates that we have in Tulip, say, hey, we found something in SQL you don't yet have in Tulip. That must be the new day of a schedule, and upload it. That's pretty much how it works. It's pretty easy. We love that they're reliable at scale, too. When we want to do new schedules, we just copy and paste the connector, copy and paste the automation, make minor edits, and we're ready to go in just a few hours. It's the time saving that matters here. Automations automate tasks that people were doing beforehand. It's a huge productivity saver. It's nearly $50,000 in time we were spending editing schedules and uploading schedules. Couldn't have done this without the COE team and Eduardo's help. We needed to make sure that our data would be safe, it would be encrypted, choosing between a cloud server, on-premise server, et cetera. He broke down a lot of the IT red tape that I didn't want to deal with in leading the project, right? That no one really wants to deal with, and he really helped out with that. The worst case scenario when doing a project like this is you doing everything in a siloed structure, and then IT does their quarterly compliance review. They're like, red flag, break it all down, stop, and all your work is lost, right? So with partnerships like this, ensuring that enterprise strategy meets that local innovation, you can make sure that your projects are going to come to an end and be successful. They have some key philosophies. Increase productivity with technology. Eliminate duplicate systems, non-standard work. They want to do this through responsible citizen development. And we did exactly that. We can keep uncovering production opportunities with more schedules, more KPIs. I'm sure that editing SAP info directly from a customer order is not standard use of Excel. We are removing that, and we're removing that duplicated work. SAP should be truthful at the source. And did all this while remaining compliant with his help. The impact, what this looks like. At 5 schedules, 20 hours, on average, that's 4 schedules, or 1 schedule every 4 hours. That's for the week. Nearly 50 grand in non-value added time. That was the editing, the uploading, and me fixing errors because they happened. When we have errors, it was like chaos, panic on the shop floor. I'd be in a meeting, knock on their door, Zach, what's going on? I have duplicate parts in my schedule. It just created this lack of trust in Tulip as a whole. That's the last thing that we want. This is a frontline operator platform. 26 steps, convoluted, confusing, horrible to do, daily process. after automations. The video makes it look so simple, it almost seems silly, but it's all automatic. Schedules just appear on the screen. There is no human intervention in any part of it. SAP dumps those schedules into SQL every single night. It's truthful. We went through months and months of testing. It's correct. The SQL Server will hold that information. That's updated every night too, with old and new info. So let's say it brought in week 36, day 2's schedule. The very next morning, let's say we had a canceled order or another order got placed into that day. We would know on our end, oh, we have a canceled order, we get an email, and we can actually cancel it through automations too. We'll delete a whole day out of Tulip. The very next morning, 36, day 2, will be reloaded without that canceled order. In the past, that was a huge headache, having to go through every single schedule and manually take out parts and quantities. Tulip automations tie it all together, limited complexity, off the shelf, easy to use. What this means is that we have a sustainable solution from the back to the front. We have very nice operator platforms, very pretty applications. They're not duct taped together on the back end. There's no spaghetti code holding it all together. It's elegant the whole way through. It is the single reason we can continue expanding Tulip, and because of this, the value of Tulip skyrockets. Looking forward, it means a lot of things. We can utilize potential more. The person who is making all of these edits, he doesn't have to spend those 20 hours a week doing it anymore. He can put his time to something more valuable. He has 25 years in the building. It's a waste to have him sit at a computer and drag columns around, right? Removing that blame. When errors happened, people were going, was it this guy? Is it the system? Was it customer entry? Was it SAP? Now we take one of those factors out of the equation and we can start looking towards more realistic things for root cause analysis and corrective actions. Looking forward, our cross-site partnerships grow. People have already heard of this. Other SPD sites have. They go, how did you do it? We want to do this. And they can, because the server, Microsoft SQL Server, and automations, if you have those two things, most companies have them, you can. And we can help them with this. Funding projects becomes easier. We have proven results. And a pilot site for new apps, like Eduardo's team builds. I think if you asked a factory years ago, can you go paperless? Can you even go 50% paperless? It was basically laughable. Like, absolutely not. I wouldn't say that we could go 100% paperless, but this whole project lays the backbone, lays the foundation for doing that, at least maybe 90% of the way. It's, I think, revolutionary. Looking at the quantifiable, we already went over the 50 grand, nearly 50 grand in lost time saved. With all the schedules that we will now have access to, we're going to do the same use cases for them as we did with the other 5. First piece inspections, eliminating manual part tracking, no scheduled delivery anymore. That's another 104 workdays reclaimed, 43% productivity gain if all the responsibilities of those use cases were under a single person. That value is spread out across multiple people at the time. But combining those two efforts, that's a whole headcount reduction. That person who was making edits, we don't need that role anymore. We didn't pick him out the door. He actually got promoted. He's a shipping lead now. He's making a greater impact, greater value. We want to bring technology into the building and keep people there and give them room to grow. 90K, nearly 90K in savings, reducing a headcount, doing more with less manual labor and more digital labor. And that's what it's all about, especially in digital continuous transformation. I'll leave it up to Eduardo here to talk about the enterprise strategy and on how a company can have this type of success.
Yep, I will start with some key to impact. So one thing is empowering. So one of the things to say and to make it more relevant is going to be empowerment. So I will be super honest. Without my team, without anyone, even SAC and someone, in all the manufacturing sites will be able to achieve whatever results they want. So that's the beauty of the platform. It's gonna be able to create whatever they want. But if it's gonna be in the correct manner, if it's gonna be even actually safe enough, and what happens if someone leaves, so what's gonna be the behind the scenes, what the knowledge transfer, what's gonna be happening, all the things of this is what we just need to make sure that we're in the correct manner. There are things that I could see as relevant is like you saw, and you might be seeing this scenario of SAP pretty similar with your processes in all your manufacturing sites, because everyone, I'm pretty sure, majority are going to be using SAP. But having these redundant processes, does that sound familiar to you? I think it is. So SAP is a super powerful platform, but at the same time, majority of the persons use Excel as all the background and all the processing and so on. So all those redundant processes can be just easily removed by transforming, right? And other thing that I could say on this is, now you have it on Tulip. What's next on this? Is basically you can just put it on the floor. So imagine where an operator is just gonna start his day, is gonna just click start production, and is gonna just run through the day, and at the end of the day you have already your results in the same platform. So that's one of the amazing things that you could just work on this. So one of the things is composability. We make sure that everything fits together with our solutions, that does not compete, it's just basically their solution, our solution is gonna be able to talk the same language and so on. So that's one of the key advices that I could give, is just empowering the sites.
I'll try to get through advice for others here in just a minute so I can leave time with questions. Lay the right foundations for the future. It's a journey, it's not a destination. We've learned that through all of ops calling. Think about solutions for years down the road. It's a journey. Don't forget to bring people on that journey. Solve the small pain points. Work with operators. Get them involved in the building. Implementing solutions, getting that buy-in will be so much easier when you bring them on board. They are part of the process. You want multiple eyes to support that vision when you take on a big project. Become that problem, solution, or outcome expert. I should have labeled this problem and outcome expert. For the solution, that everything in between, that's what you need a team for, right? But understand the problem very thoroughly. Build the make sense case buy-in for local support. Get that financial case for broader support at corporate levels. SAP and consulting, COE and Tulip, on-site support. These are some folks who played pivotal roles in the project with their years and years of experience in the different platforms. I think that a great representation of our project here, and some of the best advice is, do not let perfect get in the way of good. Yes, there are more complex integrations. This is not a direct read and write. We can't pull absolutely everything we want out of SAP, but this solves a huge problem for us, and it is going to be great for the next 5+ years, right? You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great, and I think that lays the roadmap for a lot of you out there. Thank you for listening, and I would love to open up the floor to any questions you guys may have.
Just a question around your connection with SAP. Was it just a read of the data on the SQL Server, or did you have a two-way communication between Tulip and SAP?
Yeah, it is just a read of the data from the SQL Server.
And then to follow up with that, with reading that data, did you use Tulip to manipulate any additional data that you would add on from the data you would get from SAP to kind of, for example, if you needed to shift things around within the schedule, SAP was like the truth source, if you will. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you need to be able to manipulate that. Did you have to go into SAP to do that, or were you able to find a way to still function Tulip in that?
We could add those functions directly into Tulip. There were certain things that were too big of a headache to tackle in SAP. I'll give you a short example. We paint thousands of different colors of product. Sometimes we don't stock a color anymore. The paint people who have to make the paint on site, they don't want to see some code that might be in a catalog of a color. They want to see what a color is for us, black 103 or something. It was a pain in the butt to get that fixed on SAP, talking through customer service all across the country. Through automations, when we see certain things come in from the schedule, we'll use automations to translate instructions to products or colors to something that our operators are more used to seeing. So yes, anything that we couldn't get on the SAP side, Tulip picks it up and massages the data for us.
Adding to that, we already proved that we are capable to do backflash on SAP. So I know that we're on time, and sorry about that.
I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
No questions. We can give a round of applause to the speakers and thank them for their time.